impact fees and how they actually affect you and why you want to pay attention. There's impact fees, waste connection fees, and then there's also permit fees. These are 3 fees that a lot of people don't know about, but I want to let you know how they affect you and why you should actually care. So impact fees should actually be paying for the infrastructure within a municipality. So for example, this article by Sarah, great journalist as well, they actually talk about the impact fees and what they're doing about it for the city of Lakeland. And they keep on rising and rising and rising. The only thing is, a lot of times people forget the other 3 items that are dealing with impacting the community, or impact fees dealing with new development or new builds, that are also a cost that you have to pay. There's impact fees is one. There's wastewater connection fees that you have to actually tie in to your local utilities. And then you also have permit fees. Just to give you a little bit of perspective on this, when you're dealing with an actual property, right? And you actually have to pay for, you're not only paying impact fees, which you have to pay that up front, you're also paying wastewater connection fees. For example, impact fees have always went up. And the only reason why I feel they always go up is just like any other business, or a business, if you believe that you have a monopoly, good business owners will do their best to drop the price and increase the services. Municipalities, they know they are a monopoly and there's literally nothing you could do about it. What they do is they'll raise your impact fees. For example, impact fees at one time were $21,000. In this article, it says they're $14,000. That's actually incorrect. And you could go to the City of Lakeland's website and say, hey, I want to build a property, let's say at my property that we did at 720 West 14th Street. This property, when we actually redid this site, this property right here, if you can see right here, it's at 720 West 14th Street. That property was 716 because we actually did a redevelopment of 1 lot to 3 lots. The other properties were $21,000 just for the impact fees. And this is in a CRA area, meaning this is a community redevelopment area. Then you also have your permit fees. So permit fees on that property was $1,267. Then you also have your wastewater connection fees, $3,749. And guess what? Every single year, that has always increased, every one of those fees. What happens is, every decade, they keep on increasing it almost 47 to 60%, the fees have. At one time, these impact fees were like $4,000. And you can look this up in the history of the city of Lakeland. And I'm using the city of Lakeland as an example for other municipalities to look at as well. My thought, how do you solve this, right? What happens is, if you keep on raising your impact fees, it's supposed to go to infrastructure. But when you actually look at the budget, when you deal with, for example, City of Lakeland has over a $200 million budget, but every year they break even. There's no surplus because they spend it all. It's kind of like when I was in the military, they call it use it or lose it. So everybody has the idea, because they have a job and they don't want to lose their job. Nobody's attempting to be efficient. So their goal is not efficiency. Their goal, a lot of workers, I would say, and there's nothing wrong with this goal either, is to keep your job. You don't want to actually make it so efficient that you don't have a job anymore. But in the real world, if you're a business owner, you have to make it more efficient because you have to survive. Your business has to survive. It's not just about your survival. You have to go with what's happening in the market. But when you have an actual monopoly, and what I mean by that is there's no other place that you could pay impact fees. There's no competition. So kind of like the DMV. Is there competition to the DMV? If there was, you probably would have a better experience with the DMV. But you don't. You have the miserable experience because that is a monopoly. So that's the definition of a monopoly, is there's no other competition, and you have to do it. You have to pay your impact fees if you're going to do new builds, or if you're going to do a development. You have no choice, period. And you have to pay your permit fees, right? And you have to pay your wastewater connection fees. That's not a part of the impact fees. These are 3 extra costs. But now, how do you get more efficient, Franklin? Great question. I'm going to answer that for you right now. So the way I would look at it is this. How do you become more efficient is first look at what is your current resources. Number 2, as well, when you look at this, is number 1, what are your current resources? Number 2 is like, what is the mission? What is our goal? To me, My opinion is if you're in a local municipality, your goal as a government agency, and I'm just saying overall, a government agency to me should bring happiness upon the community, including do the right thing for the community, not do the right thing for the employees of the community. And that's two different things. Remember, city managers that are typically the ones like in city of Lakeland, a city manager is technically the one that is the CEO of the city, which is nothing wrong with that either. It's great. The only thing is the mayor is not the city manager. Now, it has a lot of great power, and then you have commissioners. The only thing is everybody's thinking about keeping their job, and nobody's really looking at to shake the bucket too much kind of thing, just because you're in a local municipality and you don't want to shake it up too much. The only catch is what happens is year after year after year, cost of all of taxes go up, insurance goes up, local wastewater connection fees. So what happens is we have a very old infrastructure. So if the infrastructure keeps on getting older, where are they going to get the money to actually fix the old infrastructure? Well, the city of Lakeland gets loans. Other municipalities, sometimes they get loans because they never have a surplus, right? Just think about this. If you have no surplus and you have to fix an old plumbing pipe, which a lot of the infrastructure, for example, again, I know city of Lakeland pretty well, is over 45 years old plus. So you have these very expensive, like the Western Trunk that's going on one of my behind my developments right now. That is a $45 million plus development. It's a huge deal. They have to get a loan. So guess who pays for the loan? We do. And how do we pay for it? Everything keeps on rising. And it will never stop until actually somebody says, look, we've got to stop this, actually start becoming more efficient and actually reinvest, period. So how much do they spend on infrastructure in the city of Lakeland? Guess how much that is. You'll be shocked when it comes down to what is their investment in infrastructure. It is, I believe when I looked at the number, it's less than 15%, right? They spend 65%. I think it's 60 to 65% of the budget on law enforcement. Now, there's nothing wrong with law enforcement. I used to be in the military. Love Captain America, right? And I really was in war. But that's kind of excessive because what happens is what matters is not just law enforcement. What matters is the infrastructure that you live in. That's actually number one. But what happens is, again, city managers, they look at the national-wide statistics and they're like, oh, we should be higher, we should be lower. No, you got to think if somebody would think as a real CEO, a true CEO, you're going to look at it from the standpoint of like, what can we do to have more development and more builds come over here? Because that is how we're going to pay for for new infrastructure. How can we make it more friendly for businesses, period? And what can we do that's the right thing? So the only reason why I bring this up again, this article that was brought up today by Sarah Walsh, fantastic article. But again, there's three things missing when it deals with impact fees. Wastewater connection fee, that's a big deal. And then you also have your permit fees. These are things that no matter what, they're always going to have to get paid. And guess what? They always increase. So whenever you're building, if you're a developer, if you're a builder, if you're an investor, you need to look into this because that's what we call soft cost. You need to understand, hey, if I lock in this deal right now, does it even make sense? So, for example, I bought a property in a lower socioeconomic area. Guess what? That land is probably not even worth 10 or 15 grand. But guess what? The impact fees alone was $21,000. That was 2 years ago. They're higher now. They're like $26,000 plus wastewater connection plus permit fees. So it's more money that you have to pay than the actual land. And we always say, well, what about affordable housing? There's no such thing. That's not going to work. The only reason why it doesn't work, again, if local municipalities don't actually start looking at things as a true CEO, as an entrepreneur, how can we cut costs and increase services? What a normal business would do. How can we do our best to make our clients, and our clients are the civilians that live there, and builders who actually help pay for everything, not just taxes, what can we do to make this more efficient? Period. So anyway, I say all that. Hopefully this gives some insight for somebody when you're thinking about building a new home. You've got to think about soft costs, which a lot of people have no clue about when you're dealing with hey, number one, first, is there any easements on the land, right, before I build, right? And you could ask the building department, or you could ask your local surveyor. Two is, hey, what is the impact fees? Three, I think we're on three. What's the wastewater connection fee? Because you got to pay that. And then what's the permit fee? These are all costs that you got to think about before jumping into that deal that you want to buy. You want to buy a new construction home for you and your family, a dream home. You've got to know your cost. Hopefully, City of Lakeland or other local municipalities can start looking at this and say, look, we have to stop passing the buck of just increasing fees everywhere, period. What if there was a strategy of saying, we are not increasing the fee. We are only decreasing it 30% across the board. And we are going to do it. There's no excuses of not to do it, period. This is not a choice. This is not an exercise. It's going to happen. How would you make your department more efficient, period? 30% less costs. How would you do it? Just have that exercise. We do it in business all the time. It's like, or in a family. Hey, we don't have the money. With taxes went up and insurance went up, our medical care went up. We don't have a choice. So we're not going out to eat anymore at Sizzlers or Chili's, right? We are eating, in my family, arroz con pollo nada más, and that's it, right? Which is rice, rotisserie chicken and rice. So hopefully this helps and you get some education out of it. But I want to educate what are the things that people need to think about whenever you're buying a new construction home. What are some ideas for local municipalities? And then we'll take it from there. All right, bye. Oh, yeah. My name is Franklin Cruz. I own a company called TrueInvestors.com. You ever thinking about selling your property, you can go to TrueFastOffer.com. Or if you want to do some bigger development stuff, we can consult. Possibly I can consult with you if it's cool. Go to TrueInvestors.com. Bye. Let me know if you liked it.